Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and also the distinguished guest, and also Ms. Ching Hoa, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Transport, and also Ms. Min Yuku, the SAMSA Board Chair, who opened this very important seminar, and also Ms. Lena, our good friend of WMU, the ITF representative for today. And thank you very much for everyone. I'm very much honored to be here and also representing the World Maritime University, which is located in Malmö, Sweden, which is also established by the International Maritime Organizations. The next year we are actually celebrating our 40th anniversary. So it's a long history, but of course the female students enrollment has been recently increased thanks to the leadership of the President Dr. Dunbury Henry, and I hope that her speech will be played soon after some time. So yes, thank you very much. So my name is Momoko Kitada. I'm originally from Japan, which is also quite difficult. It's a developed country, but very much behind, in this type of agenda. We don't speak about that. That's also one of the reasons that I actually feel much comfortable working in Sweden, which has a totally different culture. I'm also working as a gender audit for the IMO's gender activities in the last 2 years, and I'm still doing that. So from my knowledge and also being a professor at the World Maritime University, it's really very important role that we are taking, educating the young people who are making decisions in the different parts of the world. But then it's also not so easy for me to do that because whenever you talk about this gender equality, people think, oh, again, or it's lower priorities compared to the technical issues, just Yagurama just mentioned. So, and actually I'm really impressed by this SAMSA because you are the ones who is much more dealing with the technical issues, safety and security and environmental protection and all these kind of the top agenda. And you are actually seriously taking this gender equality into the very important agenda, which is not to be found in many of the countries. So I really like to congratulate on your effort and also the support of the ministry. Thank you. Okay, it's not ready yet, the presentation. So actually, this presentation is also based on one of the papers that we published from the WMU, which is called Sexual Harassment and Women's Seafarers, the Role of Laws and Policies to Ensure Occupational Safety and Health, which was published in 2000. And I also included some of the newer statistics for that. It's very, very important issue, and as already highlighted, the gender-based violence has to be recognized within the understanding of the occupational safety and health. Because if we just talking, these issues separately from the safety, which is actually the mandate of the SAMSA, but then we don't really appreciate, we don't really connect why we need to talk about this and why this matters. And especially when you talk about women seafarers, they are the minority group of the people in the workforce. So people think that, oh, but they are not the majority. It's not something, we have other priorities to talk about. So it's very important. We have to put this agenda in the right context. Yes, I think I don't need to repeat the same definition, but it's very important. This ILO's the Violence and Harassment Convention, the C190, is very much talking about. Yes, thank you. If you can actually move the slide next, and yeah, this is a paper, and then the next one, please. Yes, so yes, I don't need to repeat that, but it's very, very important that now the gender-based violence and harassment is really considered and has a separate important conventions. And again, the South Africa has already ratified, and this is into the force next Tuesday. So this is really, really a significant achievement. If you go to the next slide. This is also the same kind of definitions coming from these conventions. I don't need to repeat that. So if you go to the next slide. Yes. So yeah, within the MLC, this harassment and bullying at sea is coming from this International Chamber of Shipping and also the ITF, the ones that made the drove the inclusion and this topic within the MLC. So the revision has been already made, which is an important step for the maritime industry to address this harassment and bullying. And also, if you go to the next slide, yes, the sexual harassment from the academic viewpoint, we can also talk about that it is a power relationship. So as we know that on board the ship and also in any maritime organization, it's quite a hierarchical organization. So in this, under such a culture, there is a problem of this power relationship. Always the seniors can do whatever they like to, they can even access to the resources, including your body. And this is really a challenge for many people. Exploration of the relationship, this is also one of the challenge addressed in the sexual harassment context. And also another problem is this, even though we have so many nice, perfect definition of the sexual harassment, the understanding of the sexual harassment can vary by different nationalities, different cultural background, also different context that you are in. So it's very difficult to there's some people saying that they are harassed because they might actually understood that, okay, this is a kind of different culture, so I have to accept it. But no, we have to really use the proper terminology, which is harassment and bullying, that to report, to address this issue. If we don't use that word, it's just a kind of your personal experience could be ignored. But it's very, very important that we use the proper terminologies in this case. And if you go to the next slide. Yes, this also figures has been already addressed by the deputy minister, so I don't need to repeat that, but maybe just to highlight that the recent report coming from the WISTA and also Anglo Eastern Shipping, and also other entities also reporting that there is a significant number of cases that women, especially in this case, women experience or encountering those gender-based discriminations, and also a lot of, in many cases, it is male counterparts on board the ship. So if we also go to the next slide, so what is really about the example of the gender-based violence at sea? Yes, it can be a discrimination, maybe the pay gap, or the women have a less opportunity to access the berths, like onboard training, or maybe the employment. It is also hard for men as well. Maybe if you have a different kind of combination of identity, because men are not always privileged either. It's only a certain men are privileged, but men are also not privileged all the time. So any type of gender-based discrimination can occur in the form of that as part of the gender-based violence, harassment, and bullying, isolations, like you are just left alone. And also the fixed mindsets like stereotypes and the bias, which also makes the people that it's okay that you are treated like that because you are a woman or because you are coming from a certain race or ethnicity. And also the body shaming. This is often we receive that the comments about our body shapes and appearance. It also, we acknowledge that it happens to men as well, interestingly, in a different formats. And I'm sure that every one of us experience a certain degree, unless you have a perfect shape. And if we go to the next slide, so who are affected by this gender-based violence at sea? If you click one. So of course, the first one is seafarers. I would say all seafarers are affected. It's not only the victims, but it's actually those who are witnessing and also who are, actually doing that violence, because there are some reasons behind, and industries are also not protecting all seafarers at the moment. If you click another one, it's also affecting all maritime stakeholders, because if your seafarers are not happy, and if they are really psychologically stressed and troubled, it is an industry issue. And if you click another one, it also goes to the whole world or the whole nation. And I will tell you why we say this. If you just click another one. So when it comes to the all seafarers, I would say that yes, the BIMCO and ICS report mentioned that the STCW certified women seafarers are 1.28%, but also a lot of men. And also there are women seafarers working in the cruise industries, which is of course Miss Lena's the work related. And I couldn't really find the latest statistics, so it's very old, but it says 19%. And I also put the LGBTQ plus seafarers. I mean, it is not actually a percentage of the seafarers, but it is a general statistics coming from the US, which is saying that today we have 7.1% of LGBTQ plus people in a whole US population. It's up to the states to collect such data, but I think it's quite interesting to see these statistics, because there is a high chance that we have LGBTQ plus seafarers. By the way, there is also a conference about the LGBTQ plus seafarers in Panama next May, which is also quite important. And the things, because we are talking about just this women seafarers and the gender issues, it's also awakening the other genders. And I think it's really, really a good step, because if we don't talk about it, the other genders are also invisible and ignored. But we are basically talking about the same thing. We are aiming for the safe working environment and the sustainable industry. So it's very, very important for us. And if we move to the next slide. Yes. So yeah, usually industries and states, it's actually easier to put in the context of the economic terms, like social cost. So in this case, this is again not about specifically the maritime, but this is a report coming from the economic cost of the sexual harassment in the workforce. So we can also see that generally, if we just do not take any actions, basically the gender-based violence cost to the employers 70% of lost productivity. And also for the government, it also costs 23% of lost tax revenue, meaning that, of course, it's not just an economic issues, it is a social issues, but just to put it in a different terminology to make it clear that what sort of externalities and impact this gender-based violence cost the society. And we really need to take seriously, and South Africa is really making the case for that. If we move to the next slide. So I would like to also stress that this gender-based violence is the matter and the rights of everyone to ensure the world of work free from violence and harassment, which is stated in the Convention 190. We go to the next slide. So what measures do we have to prevent the gender-based violence at sea? We go to the next slide. Yes, so international laws, which also related to the national laws, we have various conventions, mostly coming from the ILO, and also in the maritime specific, again the ILO convention, which is Maritime Labor Conventions, and also the amendment to this MLCB 431, which is about harassment and bullying, which is very important. And now it's coming this Violence and Harassment Convention, which is new. I hope that the maritime industry and all the maritime IMO member states will also ratify, like South Africa did, and follow up. But then we also question, so what about the IMO? So we have all the conventions at the ILO level, which makes sense. But at the same time, what the IMO is doing, is there any space for the IMO convention that we can address this occupational safety and health and harassment and bullying and gender-based violence? So there might be a space for this within the SOLAS, within this ISM code, which talks about a safety management system. However, it doesn't really refer specifically to psychological safety of seafarers. They talk about the occupational safety and health of seafarers, but not specifically the psychological part safety. And also this ISM code, the reporting kind of system has not been established. So it's still not yet mature. But then I think the most important thing is that we shouldn't wait until the conventions or IMO regulations are established. It's very important to raise a voice and create awareness and keep talking about the need of the legislative measures. If we go to the next slide. Yeah, it's all about the training issues, which also coming back from time to time from the previous speakers. So Maritime Safety Committee 105 decided on a joint IMO and ILO tripartite working group on seafarers issues and human element, considering the sexual assault and harassment. And yeah, I just learned that South Africa is part of it. So this is the first time almost that the IMO and ILO started to jointly working together on this issue. The problem is that I heard is that yes, they agreed to have this meeting in November, which is actually this month, but then they postponed to next year, 2023. And January they seem to have some kind of meeting, but this sexual assault and harassment is pushed later. They have other issues to discuss regarding the human element. So, okay, so again, this agenda is pushed back. This is not a priority. So we again need to raise our voice that we want to discuss this because they could even postpone to 2024, 2025. I hope not, but that's the kind of reality. And also this Maritime Safety Committee discussions also led to the discussions within the subcommittee of HGW, Human Element Training and Watchkeeping. So the next meeting will be held in February 2023. And here there are a number of member states trying to propose the revision of some of the STCW code, like tables, so that kind of competencies that we should actually include the competencies of seafarers to make sure that they understand the harm of the psychological safety. And also possibly the amendment and the revision of the IMO Model Course 1.21, personal safety and social responsibility. So this will be now coming up as an agenda, and this is very important because, as I said, there's no IMO conventions or the legislations which is directly addressing this topic. And this also relates to the maritime education training of seafarers because we have a responsible to for protecting our seafarers. So it's very, very important. If you go to the next slide, so this is close to the final. So we also need to think about the culture of safe working environment on board. So not just at the state level, and also not just the training, the MET level, but also in the industry itself has to be aware of this culture of safe working environment. So again, I'm taking some of the statistics from the recent WISTA survey. So so a lot of like 97% of women seafarers agreed that the company had a sexual harassment and bullying policy. So the policy is in place, almost 100%, which is a good news. However, 73% of respondents felt comfortable escalating their cases, but only 13% did that. And also 7% felt satisfied with the outcomes. So there is, as already Ms. Lena mentioned, the kind of the policies in place, but then implementations and how we actually proceed is another challenge. So it's very important, and also the leadership matters because it doesn't come from the leadership. If the leaders do not understand the importance of this, it doesn't really translate into the organizational culture and also the procedures to be taken place. If we go to the next slide. Another phenomenon that these days we have seen is that not going through the traditional channel to report. We also seeing a lot of voices through the social media, like Me Too campaigns, Midshipman X, which already mentioned. Also the reports also coming up every day almost in the news, like French merchant marine case reports, and also Royal Navy submarine case. It's just, we have so many cases. So we should really need to take actions, which is now, and it's very important that we don't ignore. And this is such a powerful tool that people can actually address these issues. So as a final, almost a final slide, next one. So just to summarize, while strengthening the existing mechanism to prevent the gender-based violence, which is of course important, we use the existing mechanism, but at the same time, there will be more opportunities for all maritime stakeholders to promote a world of work free from violence and harassment. And also, we need to remember that the gender-based violence is not just a matter of women, but all seafarers of all genders. It's actually a matter for everyone. And also stopping this gender-based violence is actually a common benefit for the whole industry and also the governments. So there is a rationale here. This is the reason why that we have to work together to stop this gender-based violence. So with that, with the last slide, just a thank you slide. And thank you very much for inviting me today, and it's my honor to be here. Thank you very much.